Jai Shri Ram. Let's look at some archetypes from Mahabharata and Ramayana. Now, the word archetype means an inherited idea which is there in the unconscious of the individual. It is there in the unconscious of every individual. It is derived from the experience of the race. So, in psychology, that's a very important concept. So, the Krishna archetype, Arjuna archetype, Bhishma, Drona, Bhima, Duryodhana, Gatotkacha, Sita, Draupadi, mother, father, brother, wife, God, all these archetypes are there. Of course, the ordinary meaning of the word archetype means the best model or the first model. The archetype of genius, in my opinion, is Einstein. Okay, now let us look at archetypes from Mahabharata. Okay, Krishna, the Krishna archetype. Sometimes we can get into this Krishna mode. You should actually awaken the Krishna mode, the strategic conscience that whispers solutions that nobody else can see. So open a hotline with Krishna. The Arjuna archetype is the sincere struggler with high potential and inner turbulence, total chaos inside. Sometimes we are in that mode. Bhishma archetype, who has taken a noble vow which has calcified into bondage. He got stuck with the throne. Instead of siding with Dharma, he ended up on the wrong side. Yudhishthira archetype is moral rigidity, trying to evolve into moral intelligence. So he too had certain problems. The Draupadi archetype is dignity with fire, the inner voice that will refuse to compromise. Very, very respectable. Karna archetype, sabotaged by loyalty to the wrong anchor. Karna sabotaged himself. He was very talented, but self-sabotage because of loyalty to the wrong anchor. Duryodhana, egoic entitlement pretending to be just and dharmic. That is another archetype which you will find in people. Shakuni archetype, the cunning strategist born from trauma. Drona archetype, tremendous skill and authority, trapped by dependence on power structures. Ashwatthama archetype, wounded pride and rage that surpasses reason. Abhimanyu archetype, brilliance but with incomplete training and initiation, half-baked learning. Kunti, maternal duty entangled with hidden guilt. That's another archetype. Shalya archetype, the inner cynic who praises but poisons. Vidura archetype, detached wisdom as quiet governance. That's very necessary. Nakula archetype, graceful efficiency without noise. Sahadeva archetype, intuitive knowing and taciturnity, because Sahadeva rarely speaks. In fact, he answers questions with questions. Well, because there is a curse on his head. A weird, tantric suggestion given by Pandu. Pandu Raja said, eat my dead body, you will acquire great powers. Everyone shrank at the whole idea. Sahadeva ran and he ate one little finger. And Krishna intervened and he said, hey, stop it. No, you cannot be a cannibal. And Krishna realized this fellow has got the siddhi, he can see the future. So Krishna warned him, you tell everyone what's going to happen in future, you will die. So the Sahadeva had to keep quiet. Sahadeva said, sir, please do something. I'll be terribly, with all the knowledge suppressed. So Krishna said, okay, do something like this. Answer a question with a question. And if that fellow can understand it, that's good. So Sahadeva, intuitive knowing that rarely speaks. Bhima, raw vitality, learning temperance. So Bhima's, vice was gluttony. And of course, great power, and with that came some arrogance too. But he was a great Krishna Bhakta. Raw vitality, needing temperance. Gatotkacha archetype, the wild primal protector, totally unpredictable and ruthless. Uttar Kumara archetype, sometimes we get into this, bluster and braggadocio. We are inheriting some kind of a denomination, but without any really true courage. Dhritarashtra, well, Dhritarashtra is a land grabber. That is an archetype which is dangerous. A blind fellow, in the sense not physically blind, spiritually blind. The blind king inside us who knows and still denies the truth. So don't get into that. Gandhari archetype, excessive virtue that ends up enabling darkness. Satyavati archetype, ambition repackaged as tradition. Okay. Amba Shikandi archetype, vengeance evolving into purpose. Shikandi was a great warrior. He was likened to Sri Rama. When we was fighting. In the movies, they paint him as some kind of a hermaphrodite. That is wrong. Krupacharya archetype, neutrality masquerading as dharma. Anyway, he survived the war. Krupacharya, yes, he survived. Kripacharya, inner Kripacharya archetype, tactician, unfortunately without a moral stance. He was a Dalbadulu. Barbarika archetype, power that must be withheld for greater design. Because he took a vow that he will always fight on the weaker side. Krishna showed the fallacy of such a position, and so Barbarika had to be removed from the scene. Anyway, Khatushamji, he is now very powerful and he blesses all of us. Ekalavya archetype, self-taught excellence which was denied legitimacy for obvious reasons, because you need to follow certain decorum at least. So Ekalavya archetype is also very interesting. Jayadratha archetype, celebrating a false sunset, the small ego that hopes to win through cosmic loopholes. So Virata archetype, shelter that underestimates its own significance, a positive archetype. Kichaka archetype, power, sheer power, absolute power, total misuse of it to gratify reckless desires and destined to be destroyed. So avoid the Kichaka archetype. So we have discussed some 30 archetypes from Mahabharata. In the next recording, I will discuss Ramayana archetypes. Jai Shri Ram.